I still have to serve my cardiac muscle and my smooth muscle. Okay? So, when you're looking at the structure of that nerve exiting the vertebra, okay, and the branching that looks like it's occurring, those little branches that I pointed out, okay? Well, if you remember, we've got an anterior portion, we've got a posterior. We have an anterior ramus. In the thoracic region of the body, it gives rise to an intercostal nerve. Intercostal is referring to what? Do you remember another term for the rib bones? In between, enter. Costal is telling me ribs. Just like I said a minute ago, we've got to have that structure in between those ribs, because if not, you wouldn't be able to breathe, because there would be absolutely no movement for the lungs to expand. Okay, so from that, in that thoracic region, we're going to have one that serves muscle between the ribs, so that these ribs, this thoracic cage, can expand and recoil so that we can breathe. In the other regions, cervical, lumbar, so forth, okay, it helps to form the plexi. So if we think about the cervical region and beginning to meet thoracic, we're going to see our cervical, our brachial. We get to lumbar, we've got the lumbar plexus. We get to the sacral, we've got the sacral plexus. And we've got a coccygeal. Okay? So one of the little branches that are going to come off of that spinal nerve on the anterior side, this is what they help with. On the posterior, innervates muscles and joints in that region of the spine. In that region of the spine and the skin. Where do you have more fine touch? In your hands or your back? Where would you have more fine-tuned touch or feeling of touch? Your hands or your back? Your hands. The goal of those nerves, that posterior part. In part one, you probably learned about bigger muscles of the back, okay? Did you get anywhere near those teeny tiny muscles that might just go from one vertebra to the next? No. Why? First of all, there's over 600 muscles in the body. There is no way. I mean, people go to school, medical school, just for that portion of the body. And look at how many years they get to learn it. We're in one semester, okay? So we're kind of focused on stuff that's actually stuff we can palpate and so forth. When you get to talking about muscles that exist deep in the back, that are going to be very well innervated from those areas of this nerve exiting, okay, their goal their one goal. Keep your posture. Now, think about that for a second. Which ones do you think are really more active in your back area? Those ones that are trying to keep your posture, or the ones that you might be like, go to the gym and woo and have all that stuff on your back? Which ones do you think are way more active? The ones doing your posture, or the ones that, you know, kind of see, ooh, all posture. Posture. They are actually, believe it or not, for the most part, going to be on a reverberating circuit from spinal impulses to keep your posture. So they're pretty cool. They're pretty cool muscles to learn about. Now then, on that nerve and branching is going to take place. One of those branches actually turns back around and goes back into the meninges. What were the meninges?
The casings around, so it was the dura mater and the arachnoid and pia.
Yes. The connective tissue wrappings around the brain and the spinal cord. What? Why would that need to be innervated? Isn't it already right there at my nervous tissue? Why would I need to worry about something going back in for my meninges, the vertebrae itself, and spinal ligaments? Why would we need that?
Because it's still alive, so it still needs to be kept up with and growing.
It's still living tissue. We need to receive information from it. We need to keep that tissue healthy, all right? There's a lot of things that still, tissue, you think about vertebrae itself. That's bone, okay? It's bone. Do you remember learning in part 1 about how bone remodels your entire lifetime? The building up and breaking down? Okay, does it to the vertebra too. Vertebra can get broken. Okay? So we need to be able to pick up on all of that information. So that spinal nerve that's exiting, it's doing a lot more than just coming out and simply serving that skeletal muscle that we think about. Because we're going to have to serve tissue itself. We're going to have to serve our viscera. Okay? Once again, I'm going to point out cardiac muscle, but once again, I'm going to say it doesn't control cardiac muscle. So, this is showing us these branchings that occur. If we look at our spinal cord, we can see the spinal nerve entering. We see that dorsal root or posterior root ganglion. We see the fork in the road, anterior, posterior. We begin to see branching that occurs, and they're trying to show you the posterior ramus, a projection off of it, okay? They're trying to show you some other parts, the meningeal branch that turns around, goes back into those parts of the spine. Let's see, they're showing, now, something right here called communicating rami, that's going to work with the autonomic nervous system. So even though it looks like this would be a pretty simple process, no, it's not, okay? So those spinal nerves, they are going to be busy taking information, processing it, giving us responses. This is an actual cross-section through the spinal cord. Remember how I said that if you could, dissect down and actually see a nerve fiber, and that nerve fiber is actually tough, okay? It really is. I mean, like a guitar string. If anybody's ever played guitar, okay, you'll see it's like a guitar string. And yeah, if you pluck it, it's just saying. Okay, so this is giving us a picture of a segment and the rootlets. Isn't that cool? I know, it'd be cool to like actually go dissect that, right? The rami, this is kind of trying to give us a graphic of what they innervate. So see how they're trying to show us like muscular tissue, okay? Once again, they're showing us the bone. They're showing us muscles that are coming off of those vertebrae for the deep muscles of the back, all right? So here, they're trying to show you the different areas where those rami innervated into the muscles right there of the spinal cord, or into the areas of the back, the skin, or coming around, serving intercostal muscles. Isn't that cool? Or is that just me? It's okay to tell me it's just me.
Will we do dissections in here?
Like of that? Yes, we will. We will do dissections. Unfortunately, I wish it could be like the whole human thing, but we don't get that. John Tyler has the human cadavers because they offer the mortuary program. Okay, and since they don't, 2 schools having cadavers, they're the ones that get cadavers.
Okay, so do you guys get the pigs or the cows or anything?
We don't do the whole animal.
Okay.
We'll do the parts that we look at. Like, for example, when we look at the kidneys, we'll do the kidney. When we look at the heart, we'll do the heart. That sort of thing. Yeah. So this right here is showing us those rami and what they go on to innervate. I'm going to point this out now, but I just want you to keep it in mind. The chain ganglion. Just keep it in mind, okay? Because we're going to come back to that. The nerve plexuses that we mentioned, cervical, brachial, lumbar, sacral, coccygeal. All right? Those plexi, they have a area of the body they're going to serve. Now, in the cervical region, the nerve that becomes extremely interesting that comes from the cervical region is the phrenic nerve, because that serves my diaphragm. What is my diaphragm important for?
Breathing.
Breathing. What does that mean? So what? I mean, I like breathing. Y'all like breathing? I like breathing. Right now, I wish I was kind of breathing where it was sunny and warm with a sandy beach and nice, beautiful